Sí, sí.
Buenos días. Vamos a ver si
Good morning.
iniciando.
We are going to start after this relaxing night. We are going to see if this morning we are a bit more awake. The key, the password for the Wi-Fi connection is and in the network conferencias Valencia 2013, and the V from Valencia is a capital letter. Good morning again. We are going to introduce ourselves. I'm José Antonio again, and I'm in the Cadastral office, and together with Cesario, who is in the university. I'm also at the University of Miguel Hernández in Orihuela, and we are working with these uses derived from the Cadastral use and consultation. And we are now doing a download. You know that the graphic downloads sometimes are difficult. So if you have any problems about the signature, then we will see, because sometimes with downloads we can have problems with the e-signature. There is a PDF because there are a series of firewalls and explorers, and we have a PDF. We will let you know where is it posted. Well, there is a lot of municipalities in Spain, and we have here the mapping PDF anyway. That PDF is just a few indications about downloading format 6 and DXF formats, which are also possible in the Cadastral. So we are going to start with. If you want to do a direct consultation, I know whether you know the usefulness of making a free consultation. It's just a couple of minutes. So let's think that we are just a citizen, and then the Cadastral, what is the Cadastral doing for us? So then we are going to do a Cadastral consultation, and here, I don't know if you have opened document 1, and here we have the full development of this, and this is the virtual page, the web of the Cadastral. The rhythm of this workshop is going to be like this. We know in computers that after you follow your own rhythm, so then we are going to propose to do the task. We do it to the end, and then we will give you a few minutes for you to do that yourselves, and then you can ask the question. So then we are going to do a consultation directly. So in principle, the office, there is a portal which is the generic portal of the cadastre, which is previous to this window, where you have a series of regulations, and it is very well explained about all the procedures which are generated in the cadastre. And the second one, which is the interface with the users, which is the portal that we just opened and which is now on the screen. There is a free access section, and then the section to which you can have a restricted access with electronic DNA, with all the download procedures based on the electronic certificate, and that gives you access to your protected data. There is a control, and the law on privacy of data is really important, really very strict, and then we already had some problems there. And there is a control, and they have their own permits for their territorial surface, but there can be problems because at the beginning everybody was looking at the data, and sometimes with things some people were just doing that out of curiosity, but other people were having not very good intentions. So then there has been a restriction regarding the free data. Well, you can do an inquiry about map. Any citizen without any need of certificate can do this. There are different ways of entering into this. And there is an example. The cadastral reference can be used. Any property has a cadastral reference. So, for instance, if you have the receipt of the cadastre or any other document, you will have the cadastral reference. In case well, it's a very long reference. There is a series of numbers and then two control digits that sometimes you don't have them. So it very often is easier to get through the other side in the land, polygon and parcel. Then you have a police number, and there can be a distortion in some municipalities. Is very well established, but not always. So there can be a change, a shift of 2 or 3 numbers. But anyway, you can get into the street, and then you can do that by approximation of the number of the property, but is here municipality. Well, all the tutorials have been done with Alama from Murcia. And here we have a continuous mapping. If you have a parcel, if you have a plot which is rural land, then is easier, because you only have to introduce the municipality, the polygon, and the plot number. But if we are dealing with urban properties, that can be more difficult. As you see here, here, this is surfing, pure surfing. We are doing this like this because we want you to know that the display depends on the scale, on the screen scale up to 120,000. First, you have the blocks and blocks in urban and polygons in rural land, and then you have so this visualization is more or less a scale because these displays are somewhat special. And at about 2000, you have the subdivision into plots, into land plots, and the buildings in the case of urban properties. And when we download the different tables, we'll see the data structure you are seeing here, a continuous map, more or less precise, but the internal structure and the one that we are downloading has nothing to do with this. It is a structure in layers and is a different SEIP code. Everything should coincide, but the structure the structuring layers, which are plots, subplots, and buildings, we will see all this. Once we have localized the plot, we have to localize this here, and then we can go to the information. And if what we want to have is a draft of the plot, then here you have the alphanumeric data, and if you want a kind of graphic representation, which is if you want to try this. I could like to take advantage of this time to ask whether you have all the necessary material. Please pass on. They are also posted in our blog. So if you want to go to the blog, you will find it too. So then. This is the most simple description. It only has the physical features both in land registry and in buildings, and this is this contains all necessary data. So these are the inquiries made by citizens. In case that, well, now if you have the tutorials, then we are proceeding to task 2. We can start from 0. Start. Home. Are you all connected to the internet? We can do an inquiry. And we'll repeat that and try to do that yourselves. Here we have inquiry and certification, free access. So you have to select free access and then mapping inquiry. And if you do not have the cadastral reference, then you start with the province, the municipality. Do you like a lemon bar? particularly. And then you should go to cartography, to mapping, surfing. You can reach the plot, the land plot. So the display depends on the scale, and with successive zooms, this is still the polygon. We are still we're not able to display the plot, the land plot number. I think you did a zoom in a mountain, so there are not the plot is not highly representative in a mountain. Now we are closer to the village. It's highly intuitive. We are now surfing on the mapping, and once we have decided the plot we're interested in, which is this one, and then here we have this is a draft of the plot, and you can say show data, and here you see the alphanumerical data, the usage. The use and the number. In case this is land, then you will have a polygon and a plot number. So you can generate a file. You can download it, a PDF file, and keep it and save it. Usually, you can go to user downloads, and in downloads you have this, and you just have to follow the indications. So, in somewhere in your computer, this download must be saved, and this is the inquiry. You will see that the data from the owner are not there. So it's just an inquiry, but you have all data regarding the land plot. All the buildings, according to the last regulation, all new buildings, they are in the new standardized model. In the old buildings, in land were considered as urban. That means that was a nonsense, because this is a building, even if this is rustic land. So that led to contradictions, to problems, because if we want them to be coordinated, then we'll have to do this. And then that was also paying taxes as urban land, and that was a disparity with the urban planning. So then this plot has some buildings which are not necessary for the agriculture, which with this small chalet and this small structure which is built, and now they are paying taxes as a single plot. There is now a project, because we'll have it on the blog that we presented yesterday, where we can establish the regularization plan. This is a 4-year project with a deadline in 2017, where this is a kind of cadastral amnesty, and the omissions are going to be are going to be searched, and then they are going to pay just 60 euros, and after the taxes will be regulated. So 170 municipalities have already been included in this plan, and it's going to be a hard work because we'll have to contract many companies. This is going to be controlled by HISA. HISA is subcontracting, outsourcing this work, and all the municipalities that were revised in the ancient plan will be reviewed for next year. The budget is 40 million euros only for this task at a national level, I mean. And this is being coordinated, and they are going to standardize the process for 170 municipalities. One of the most important things are the buildings which are in rural land, swimming pools, and shelters, and buildings for agricultural use, and the modifications for refurbishment, extension of plants. A general process will take place, a very important one. And we got a budget for update of this database. I don't know whether you all could download this, or could you do this inquiry? And a PDF can be generated. This same one, if we do that with the electronic signature, you can not only download it, and based on that, you can display what is the FXCC. The cadastre has a structure, which is the mapping, and there is another structure in database in the buildings, which is FXCC. FXCC is the layout of the building that we are seeing in the mapping, and not only the layout, but also the uses and a picture taken from the facade. The facade is important in terms of assessing the status, whether this is well preserved, or which is the condition in which this is. So now we are going to do the same inquiry, but with the possibilities that you have when you use certified access. So here you have to get into the portal with an electronic certificate. So now we have inquiry and certification. This is not only for download, but also for relationships with the owners, in order to remove papers and that all declarations, applications, etc. So they are trying to use less and less paper. And this is for relationships with the citizens. Whenever you want to do an inquiry, you want to present an appeal, whatever. It is asking for the electronic identity card. This reservoir in the electronic signature, that was just a limitation, so that people is not just downloaded full municipalities, because some people sometimes play with this. So I'm doing the same thing as I did before, but now if FXCC, not all the buildings have this, so that's why now Here, when getting into this, it's asking for an aim. When we are already in the electronic signature, we have an objective. We used to have mapping, internet mapping, and here we have 3D mapping and FXCC. As I was mentioning to you, FXCC contains whether it has just one floor. As far as this is complementary information, this is coming in DXF, and then we want to know if it has just one floor or more than one, and it has a file per floor, and here we have downloading per floors and the facade picture. This is basic for the cadastre, not only in order to identify which is the building, but also in order to assess this. This is the conservation status and the typology, whether that was done with high quality, medium quality, less quality. This is a house. I know whether this is going to work, and we have a 3D view that is directly connected with Google. We're going to close things here. So it's gone when I was trying to connect to the Google Maps. But here, as far as we are getting into the portal with our electronic identity card, then we have much more information. And now we're going to see which are the services provided. Don't worry if in some cases, and depending on which is the server, what are you doing? So we get in the same screen for restricted user, and here we have a series of downloads. These downloads are vectorial mapping. We can have we have all the geodesic topogeodesic networks with which the maps have been done, and then we can download the files. A lot has been done with their own networks, but now you don't need to have your own network. Then we have the vectorial mapping download and the alphanumeric information download. I do not suggest this because you can end up with problems because the people working here in the registry, they know that, and the usefulness is not as important as the complexity of the mapping, because we get into the building with the data of the horizontal division. We are going to continue with the vectorial mapping. This mapping is not exactly what we are seeing in the virtual office because there are many downloads now, but we are not speaking about huge numbers. And in order not to be with the same servers of the virtual office, then an additional server has been created, and this is updated every 3 months. The first week in February, the first week in June, and the first week in October. So these are not real-time data, but if it's a municipality that has an ordinary dynamics. This is not so terrible. Downloads, they use a lot of resources in the servers, and that's why we had to create a specific server for a database. And then we have what we can download. We can download the SIG format, the rural land and urban land with and without history. And this is short. There are no data. The Cadastral geographical information system. That's we have no presence to that, and not all the municipalities. Not all those municipalities are mapped according to 2003. That was finished 4 years ago, and the story will be 4 years. So we are going to download. I prefer Rustic, and we are going to see both things. We are going to see the Rustic without history of the same municipality. Sorry, but the sound is not reaching us. Anyway, I don't know. In the blog, we were compressing. Well, you can download, and if not, after when we work with the 6, then you can see the municipality that you have, which is compressed. Here, when doing the download or when asking for the download, each one of these small squares is a file, either a DBF or a SIG. So this is the structure, the layer that we see in the continuous map, which is so beautiful. It's included with all these SIG. That's why it is so important that we know which is the data structure and what do we want to do. If we want to do a crop map, then we will have to use the plot, and if not, we can go to the masses or the cadastral masses. And this is the structure is identical. Then the land will be full or not, depending on its nature. The altimetry data are residual data. They are not so important. Perhaps in some municipalities can be important, but this is not general. Do not pay too much attention to altimetry data. And this, the Carto City project was a spin-off from here. Some regions, they decided to adopt it, another not. But in some areas, this is just, this is a cadastre. But, well, they are working. Now, I don't know if you notice that I went to rural land. So here we have the description of the different paths, which can be paths, roads, the urban subplots, access for linear elements. Axes are very important. The division of urban mapping, the distribution, the administrative limits. There is a series of, we're going to tick all of them. Here it says that it is a license, and even it makes an inquiry because this is the finance ministry, so they want to know everything. I was looking for the affectation. So here, what we want is. But if you don't put anything here, it doesn't matter. You are already controlled with the electronic signature. What you cannot do. In one of the previous courses, we are leaving the municipalities to the discretion of the people, and we left it on the web, and very quickly they don't want this to be downloaded because this is free. And sometimes these people after then they sell it because this is in a compressed file, and this being also once you have opened and changed the name, and then you can do whatever you want. But the compressed files, as we take them or download them from here after they are searched. Here we the code that you have here. I don't know whether you can see it. That code is 30 is the management, and now they are going to merge Cartagena, Vigo, Jerez, and Gijón. But this 30 in Murcia. This is the code of the management of the province. Then we have the INI code, the 08 in this case is the municipality, rural land, and the date of download. And in the end, this is a compressed zip file where you have all the different layers compressed, and so it is decompressed, and we have the different layers, and you are working with SIG files. In the practice that we will do later, we're going to display the mass zip file, which is the plot and the subplot. We were just downloading rural land properties, and now you have to see the layers. Either you can download it from your own data, or you can update the Alama files. I think this is a DBF file. In each of the layers, we have a file.
DVT and SHP and SHX, graphs and alphanumerical files. You can also download a text file. Please open it. That file, which is downloaded together with the rest of the files, includes the reference systems that we mentioned earlier. But everything is on ETRS 89. The Cadastral office has already transformed most of the cartography. It has converted it. And that particular file is enclosed as a complement to the other files. Right. Once it's open, we can now go to gvSIG and see the structure of all data of layers. The tutorial gives you instructions on downloading cartography on other formats, such as AutoCAD, which can be very useful for those of you working with AutoCAD. You can download the plots, but it's all in the manual. So I advise you to browse through it. And if you have to do a project, download the file. It's very useful, though it takes a bit of work to download it. That's why the file explains how to download the PDF files. Let's have a quick look. This is task number 4 in the tutorial. It's intended for our students when they are trained about gvSIG. Maybe José Antonio can explain the features of the AutoCAD files. Okay, let's do task number 4. First of all, open gvSIG. Right, let's wait a little bit. We're going to go through the structure, the internal structure, and the files. First, we're going to use the concept of mass. As I said earlier, in rural land cartography, the mass is the polygon, and in urban cartography, it is the actual block. More or less geographical criteria have been used for these definitions. When we want to produce a map, the subplot layer for rural land is the most complete layer. However, in the new data model, there is another layer, a new layer for for rural land too. Okay, we are creating a layer on gvSIG, and we're going to generate a view of it. David, don't call me when I'm busy.
Vamos a añadir la capa de la masa.
Vamos a ir añadiendo, vamos a ir viendo cada una de las capas interesantes que se utilizan.
Anyway, let's continue adding up layers. Right, a town, Alhama. Let's have a look at the polygons in Alhama. Mass folder. Screen 2330 is open now. Be careful with these cartography aspects, because it's okay if you're on the screen and you're doing nothing, but when you want to compare things on ED50, for instance, which some of you may still have, though conversion needs to be completed in the coming years. So be careful if you're still using those maps, because gvSIG and other systems are already running on 2330. Well, I don't know. When a new version is released, how do you do the conversion if your current conversion or projection, is EPSG to 3030? In the later versions, the default system for projection is 23030. As from version 2, this value has changed. But you can modify your preference. I recommend you to set the one you use the most. If you work a lot for the Cadastral, then most cartography is 69, so you would have to choose EPSG 830, I think. Yes, you can search for the right parameter and set it. Every time you open up a view, you can select the type of EPSG, or you can set it by default. Yes, there is a default value. If you look for it, you go to 25830, and you can have it preset all the time. So current projection EPSG 830. Well, we had a few problems with a particular town, with Benissa, which used 31, number 31. Other towns have other preset values. But just go to configuration or to the settings, and for instance, you go to view, and by default you have 23030. Just select 830, And that's it. You don't have to do it again. It will be your projection by default 25830. And you can do it from this menu, actually, and forget about it. Over the past 2 years, with the conversion, the transition in the Cadastral, few problems have been encountered, but from now on, it should run more smoothly. Okay, let's continue now. Let's open the layer. Let's add a layer. This is the distribution, the arrangement of polygons in the town. In the municipality, we now open the table for us to see the fields. And, well, there are so very many fields. The first thing you want to do is to erase them when you do the downloading. Right, the first field. This first field is for our own internal reference. VPD, just erase it. You don't need it. Mappa, you don't need it either. It's all internal in our data structure for map control. It has no reference, meaning 73 in this case is for this particular town. Every time digitalization was done, the map was assigned a number, regardless of other control parameters. So map deleted. Delegación is the province. In this case, it is number 30, and it matches the mass. This is important for statistical purposes. Municipio, town, and masa, mass. Well, I think this needs a bit of an explanation because it is complex, an item. Right, the ID reference with 14 digit includes the province, the town, the mass, the sheet. The sheet, hoja, is something which was taken from the urban land system. And here, well, usually you will always find A, letter A. That would be the most common code, the most common letter. Then, tipo, type. Here we no longer have the plot field because we are on a more generic, higher structure, namely the polygon or the mass. And here we see the first part of the reference. And also on the type, tipo, rural, urban, or mixed use. Centroid coordinates, well, for each precinct, symbol number, area. Well, the area is important. It's not the area in the poll tax office. Registration date and discharge date. Apparently, this is not too relevant because you take it for granted that everything has been registered. And this number is also an internal number on this column. So this field is not particularly relevant, but this is just what I wanted to tell you about the structure. Now, well, we can have a bit of color if you want. Shall we? No, I don't think we need to demonstrate the colors because the students here are proficient users, or some of them are. Now, the plots. Let's go to the plot layer, parcela. This is our layer. We're now going to open up the table for the plot layer. VPD again, map column, the same number, delegación, municipio, masa, hoja, sheet type. Yeah, no, just close it. Here, we have the same data for mass, town, type, and we now have the plot, as you can see. On the type column, in the previous example was not important, but here it is important because the letters represent further details such as usage discrimination. I don't know if you are familiar with data structures, but in the Cadastral, in the virtual office, we have continuous maps, and they're all interrelated apparently between rural and urban, though we do have differentiated databases for each. The rural land map is continuous for the whole territory of the municipality, and the urban one might be discontinuous, obviously as a result of isolated towns. So you have double overlapping. Let me explain. All the entries with reference 9,000, as you can see now on the plot column, are also marked as urban. So if you find a reference for urban, on the cartography, you will also have a 9,000 reference. This might be confusing at times. Plot 1,900 is defined as such to avoid duplicity. And it would be the equivalent of urban land. And then they continue to have a definition as public domain. This is applicable to paths, ways, railways, public domain, basically. And public domains are being recorded, are being registered for the first time by most administrations. And demarcation is done also on the basis of the Cadastral as a result of expropriation, etc. And hence the reference 9,000. But we also have other strange things which are remains from the former model. For instance, you could have two plots overlapping on the same plot table, which might be a bit confusing, you know, on the same table. And it's not a mistake. Let me find one of these cases for you, this one.
No, pero es que está en la visualización de esto que no hemos visto aquí. Vamos a ver todo. A ver qué le he hecho. Esto es una cosa.
It's a bit strange, I know, but, you know, eventually we'll get over. Okay, let's give the system some information. Here we see the former references for such overlapped cases, and they're still there. They have not been superseded yet. They were references for certain items. So if you download these particular maps, be very, very careful. Don't forget, these particular plots are treated differently. You can see it now, but it's also given the 9000 code, so be very careful if you download it. And here's the ID reference, the Cadastral reference on the last column. Well, this particular sheet has been manipulated quite a lot, actually. So the ID reference is already on the table. If you have to work with links to alphanumerical tables or databases, the first thing you want to do is to generate an ID reference, which is not done automatically. It can be done quite easily, actually. We will show you later. We will do it later, yes. Let me show you the next table for subplots and buildings. Subplot. A subplot is the subdivision of a property per farming uses. You can see how the map is fuller now of things. On this subplot table, things are not continuous. You can clearly see there are wide gaps. This happens because of the unified model. Uses on rural land plots are divided into different categories. And if you want to do territorial work, well, you saw those gaps on the subplot. Those gaps are for construction. They represent construction buildings. I don't know if you are familiar with it, but subplots are classed with small letters from the alphabet. In actual fact, there are some problems in this respect. And the previous handlers created other designations, such as sub-precinct. And it's hard to come to terms when you have different codes based on different criteria. It's a bit difficult, to be honest with you. Anyway, all the white bits on this particular layer are for buildings. And if I now add the building table, I just closed the gaps. Did you see it? They're no longer shown in white, those white bits or white areas. Obviously, this is applicable to rural land, not to urban land, because urban land is all, or most of it is buildings. But here we have the subplots at the same level. And as for the buildings, we have the same concepts as with urban land. This is now undergoing regularization, standardization in the system. Let me show you the table. Features or characteristics for buildings. You can see all the codes, and you also have the uses with the letters, and the buildings are identified on the basis of building volumes. PI for piscina, Spanish for pool, and so on. So the codes are letters that stand for words representing any construction or building, any elements, built elements such as a swimming pool, a pond, etc. Right, I don't know if you are with me. Is everything clear so far? We had a quick review. And, well, this was structured on the occasion of the first review, but it hasn't been maintained.
Vamos a ver ahora un repaso con esos mismos criterios en el tema de la...
Let's now have a look at well, no, we can't see it actually because it's not downloaded. We just saw the 3 layers, but now right, let's have a look anyway. Let's have a look at the urban layers because things are very similar actually. With the urban land, we're going to focus on street axis and the numerical tables that can be used for an A to Z guide, for instance. Street map. Okay, axis now. Actually, this is task 5. Okay, we're going to use the data on the Cadastral to create a street map or a street guide, an A to Z, and we're going to go through this process with the axis and the code names. This actually teaches us how to handle and use tables. This is another table on the zip files. Now, here it is. We can see the axis of the streets. Right, this is urban cartography, and the difference from rural cartography is the fact that we can see the axes. The axes are kept here. This cartography, these maps, can be used for different purposes, but it takes a bit of work, actually, or quite a lot of work. Or, for instance, you could do a TomTom system. Here we see the axis, street axis. If you notice, well, actually, this is not the table. It's the table we saw before. Here it is. Code. This is a street code. TTGGS. This is actually a remnant from the previous system, from the previous coding system. And some things were kept, others weren't kept in the database, and some bits and pieces are no longer used. But obviously, I suppose some maintenance will have to be done at some stage. And in theory, certain things had to stay, but we know how things are, don't we? With maintenance and updating, sorry. Right, BIA, street type, and the codes. These codes are the same codes on an alphanumerical table, which is also downloaded. And that table I'm going to open now. Open. It's a new table. And we just downloaded it now. In the general process, the download includes all the cartography and a few alphanumerical tables for the features of the street and the crops on the subplots. They are downloaded automatically in the main download. Anyway, here it is, street code and the name of the street. This you do for your own town. You know, you take the street name, you take the street type, and you put it all together on a table. So there you go. Table. I mean, this is all obvious. I suppose you're all familiar with the structure, with this basic structure, but we're just showing it to you.
We open the table, origin, axis, and the field. Well, you know how to do that, don't you? And the attribute table. Did that one? You know that you just validate with the export. If you want to do operations on them, take care of the statistics and so on, all those links, exporting them to a new shape is the way to keep data safe. Whenever we do a link, we are gathering together the data of a table with another. This union is virtual. It's is only present in the project in which we are. So in order to make this union permanent or the merging permanent, you have to export that layer where we have added some more, and these new fields become a part of the original table. It depends on the scale.
Al final es,
In the
vamos,
end,
una cosa que
this is
no tiene
something
mucha importancia, pero es de la
which
distribución
is
ya
not very
de
important,
manejo que
but
tenemos que podemos dar de
this is
uso.
how we manage
Esto lo están
this.
se están utilizando
This
esos
is
callejeros que se hacen en los
being
ayuntamientos para
used by these
y
street
aparte te descargan
maps,
la cartografía de manzana
and they
y deja el
download
callejero,
the mapping of blocks
luego ya lo puedes
and well.
poner sobre la ortofoto y hacer pues vamos ya todo lo que
After
todos los que
you can
manejáis
put
ya
that
sobre sí en ese aspecto
on
estaréis
the
al
orthophoto,
tanto de las
and
posibilidades que se
you
le
can
puede hacer.
you
Vamos
can
a
improve
hacer
it.
otra cosa
All
que es
those of you
la
who work with
que ya
gvSIG,
en esto hay que
they
manipular un poco más las tablas.
know
Vamos a coger el
what
tema de
I'm
la
talking
rústica
about.
y
We're
vamos a
going
hacer un
to
mapa de,
use
los mapas de cultivo que son
to
muy
see
importantes para cualquier tema de
the crop
planificación
maps, which are very
a
important
partir de
for
los
any
datos de
planning,
Cadastral. También
based on the
es algo
cadastre
parecido
data.
a lo que acabamos de
It's
hacer,
very
pero
similar to
hay que
what
manipular
we
más
did
la
now,
hay que
but
manipular
we
las
have
tablas porque hay que
to
prepararlas en
manipulate.
cuanto
We
a
have
para
to
hacer
do
el enlace.
more
Aquí es
work
directo,
with the
el campo
tables
vía con el
here.
otro, los dos
This
campos
is
vía.
a direct
Pero en
link.
el tema de
Is
cultivo hay
the
que retocar
path
las
fill
tablas,
with the
tanto
path fill, but
la
in the
de
rural land
rústica
we
como
have
la parte alfanumérica como la
to
parte
do
gráfica.
some work both with the numerical part and the drawing
Parcela
part.
siempre, vamos a ver, la información
We
de
are
los
going to
cultivos
see
está siempre en la
the
capa subparcela.
information is always in the sub-parcel layer. The sub-parcel is what is, or subplot is the layer in which I will find all the information.
Abrir la tabla, saca la tabla. Esto es lo que llevaba ya el campo. Vamos a ver, aquí esto es que lo teníamos.
Here,
vamos, estaba preparado.
that
y
was
seguimos. O sea, que lo que hay que preparar
ready.
esta tabla subparcela aquí lo que vamos a
This
intentar enlazar es
subplot,
la subparcela con su
we are
uso,
trying to link
o sea, con su
the
uso
parcels,
que tiene en
the
el
plots
alfanumérico,
with
que
its
el uso
use,
nunca
which is
está-
in
el
alphanumeric.
uso como titularidad tal,
The
las cartografías tal como está la estructura de datos de
of
Cadastro, las cartografías nunca
the
llevan
floor,
un campo de uso, no se actualiza sobre la
the
cartografía
mapping, they
los
never
usos.
have a
A
field
diferencia
of
de que los volúmenes
use.
en construcción sí,
The
las dos
volumes
plantas, las
in
tres plantas, la
buildings,
una planta,
they
en
do
la
one
rústica,
floor,
la
two floors,
subparcela,
5 floors, but
llevan la letra
in the
alfanumérico y el
rural
uso
land,
va en otra tabla
then
independiente,
this is in
simplemente
alphanumeric,
que
and
también
then
se
the
descarga.
use
Entonces aquí
is in
lo
a
primero que
different
tenemos que
table.
hacer es preparar
So
esta
then the
tabla
first
para
thing
poder
we have to do
enlazarla,
is to
generar el
prepare
campo
this,
común, el campo
generate a
y el
common
campo común es la referencia
field,
catastral con la,
and
con la
this is
subparcela.
the
Es la
cadastral
referencia
reference
catastral
with
más
the
las letras de la subparcela. Para
sub-parcel
eso
plus the letter of the sub-parcel.
entramos en edición, nos decimos
So
cómo
then we
podemos
get
hacer de nuevo
into
el campo.
edition, and we will see how can
a
we
generar
do the field again.
un campo, un nuevo campo.
We are going to
para poder
generate a new
enlazar
field
entre la tabla
in order
subparcela.
to do the
No
linking.
entra en edición. No, pero vamos a entrar en edición.
We're going to get.
Vamos a poner
We
en
are going
edición
to put in edition,
la capa y ahora
and
nos vamos a dar al alfanumérico.
now
¿Dónde va? Estos saltos que tengo que saltar. Vamos a crear un campo
we will
nuevo.
create a new field.
Un nuevo campo que le vamos a
A
llamar
new
redefinido,
field,
y así
which
queda.
is going to be
Pues ya
called
tenemos uno ahí,
redefined.
redefinido.
We had one
No
over
sé si
there.
vais haciendo.
Well, redefined. I think that they should do some of the tasks and review it because this task we have to edit the table and will not have time enough. Do you want to do because we would like you to do something. If not, we are not sure whether you understand what we should do. So, do you want us to do this? If not, we are not going to do anything.
De todas maneras, os hemos dado
Anyway,
no hemos dado opción a que nos comentéis ni que os preguntéis
you
nada.
are
Nos
not
hemos montado en...
asking questions. We are used to the online issue that people work in the things, and after they send the questions through email. And if you have any doubts, I would like to ask a question in practice 4, in the material I'm sending you. I don't have that task now. So there is a voluntary task which is checking the mapping. That has nothing to do with the Cadastral. It's the Regional Ministry of Castilla-La Mancha. I'm doing a research work, a study of the territory, and there is a download. Now there are many possibilities for downloading information. The attitude of the administration to make available all the mapping and cartography to the user, but in the city councils we have the digitalization practice, and they give you the whole plan in a PDF. Well, all the authorities, and this also has links with the territory, JESPA, public mountains, and public domain, and many other things. So this is being available in the portals of the administrations, and usually they are. It is easy to know the structure and the manipulation. You can have some more complete than others. And in Castilla-La Mancha, we have an issue about public property in the mountains and the paths which are used for the animals. There is little information when in fact in order to do theme mapping, if you know the area, you see that the different people chooses different areas, so it's very difficult to be able to do studies like this. We do affection of public mountains. So if you practice with this, please send the results to my email address. We are presenting the master and doing a shared knowledge. We want to do a blog. We will post it whenever is okay for you. And I would like you to send any queries to the blog. I know that you're researchers, that you are working, and you can communicate with us. Those of you who have been participating here with us in the workshop would like you to send us a small report, 200, 300 words, and to do small plans or drawings. And if you can reach the map even better. So for me, please send it to my courier.
Vamos, de todas maneras, como tenéis
Anyway,
yo voy a irle dando un repaso al mapa de cultivo. Y como
I'm
tenéis
going to review
la
the
guía,
crops
pues,
map, and as far as you have the guide, you can do that. We have created a new field, a new plot, and we have created the data in order to link with each other, link them with each other. We have a new field, and once it is created with a field calculator, we can refill it, and we are trying to do a cadastral reference, including the subparcel, to be able to do the link. I'm now in edition table. You see table, modify table structure. How do you know? Sorry.
Pásale. Es que no, vamos, es que también duro de oír. Ahora.
So, but how do you know how to associate each letter with each crop? This is the data structure as it is when you create mapping and cartography. You give that a code, and this same code is used in the alphanumeric. That's all. Yeah, but I'm starting to do a consultation, which is one of the first things I need to do is which is the information I have about this. So you are speaking about the description of the codes of the users. The description of the codes
está en el portal de Cadastro.
Is in the previous portal, no, in the virtual office, which is the connection. Well, it's a bit hidden. It is in the prescription for outsourcing works. Now,
la tabla de equivalencia.
Now we can send the equivalence table. This is a national table, which is quite obsolete, and with the new reference model, and now with the reference number, they are going to be clustered in order to have more solid criteria, especially regarding the knowledge of the different cultures for the single reference value.
Entonces, no sé si has visto lo de.
I don't know if you have seen where it was.
Ahora hemos redefinido y ahora nos vamos a utilizar la calculadora de campos, que para esto es muy práctica,
then
para concatenar.
We are going to use the calculator.
Con la estructura de datos que tengo en el alfanumérico y en el gráfico, necesito un campo que sea
I
común.
Need is a plot which is common. gvSIG works plot after plot. So I'm going to take the mass.
Los concatenados es, vamos,
and
trabajando con campos de tipo carácter.
We are working with character type fields, and we have to provide continuity for it. And then the mass,
la hoja,
we
La
have
parcela.
here the sheet and the plot.
le vamos a aceptar.
We say accept.
Y lo que acabamos de ver
And
aquí,
what we have seen here,
no, si está aquí ya con la...
no, it's here.
Vaya, me he liado. No, si este está. Sí, no, si está ya, está este. ¿Y cómo lo abrí ahora? No, abrirlo. Este quiero abrir. Y ahora ya lo vamos...
And now
Encontramos dónde está la tabla. Vamos a buscar ahora la tabla
we are
de...
going to look for
Ahora vamos a buscar la tabla de el alfanumérico.
the table of the alphanumerical one.
Venía a guardar. Esta tabla que estoy descargando, que se llama también subparcela,
This
es
table
solo el
that I'm
alfanumérico.
downloading is just the
Y aquí
alphanumeric,
tenemos-
is also called parcela.
Necesario ver para acá. ¿Dónde está la tabla de guardada? ¿Dónde he guardado la...? Si no, la de donde la hemos descargado.
Es larga, está en el manual y casi...
This area is manual,
Búscala, si está aquí, después.
then I prefer
Es lo que no hemos descargado hoy. ¿Dónde está los ficheros de tutor? No. ¿Dónde está lo que no hemos descargado en el...?
La prisa, si está en el escritorio, es el rústico, el R1 subparcela.
R1 subparcel.
Perdona que ahora la pregunta que te ha hecho es que
Yes,
como vamos
excuse
muy
me.
rápido,
The question is,
llevamos-
as far as we're
los
going very
códigos los
fast,
tienes también ahí,
the
los
codes are
campos
also there.
alfanuméricos.
There are
El
two
RU
alphanumeric codes,
subparcela,
RU subparcel,
el R subparcela, el
R
RU
subparcel,
O sea,
and
el R subparcela
RU
es
subparcel.
los-
RU
todos los
subparcel
cultivos.
are all
Y la
the
otra tabla que se
crops,
descarga también
and the
es
other
la
table,
de-
which is also downloaded, or can be
Perdona
also
por la-
that downloaded.
Entonces lleva ya también la carga
So
de
here you
simulación, o
have
sea que si haces los tres enlaces
this
a las tres
load, and
tablas,
if you
automáticamente tienes
do the
código,
three
descripción
of
de cultivo y...
Estamos descargando la tabla
Sí,
donde
estamos
we
utilizando...
are downloading
donde venía la descripción, viene en vez
the
de
table, and then we have this mapping
es una tabla.
Sí, igual que hemos descubierto antes la de la-
in the same
hemos
way
la
as
de
we
Calviá, son solo
discovered
tablas, pero que
the
se descargan
Calviá.
automáticamente
These
en
are
el
just
proceso.
tables, but which are downloaded automatically in the process.
¿Dónde está?
Where is it?
¿Dónde la ha puesto?
Hay que unirla, guardar esa unión que ya sabe el manual que siempre
Esta no es.
después no funciona. Se guarda.
Cesario, ¿dónde la has descargado?
Hay que utilizar la calculadora de campos, ponerle el mismo nombre. Lo digo que está perfectamente
está portátil
detallado en el
Toledo.
manual,
Creo que la
yo
dejará
creo
en portátil
queda
Toledo,
muy
no
no da
sé.
tiempo de acabar, es lo que estoy comentando, que si preferimos, que si
Díselo.
alguna consulta o habéis quedado medio que
Está hablando.
taller. Y también quiero, bueno, ya
Pero
les
si
he
ves,
dicho
si se va.
¿En mis documentos? No, en mis documentos está.
y como
César,
hablábamos ayer,
qué buen tío que está hablando.
además de
muy
geografía, la economía, nuestra misión, la valoración, nuestro máster de valoración.
Cesario, un momento, a ver dónde está dónde la has guardado.
Llevo a trabajar,
Tranquilo, hombre, vamos a darle los pantallazos, hombre, que la vean por lo menos. La tabla, ¿dónde la has guardado? ¿Dónde la has descargado?
sí, que si no vamos arrebatados y no,
Que no pasa
ya
nada.
no va a ser nada, pero lío. Cero.
¿Ahora?
Pues estaba aquí. Esa Arrus, su parcela. A ver, si está. Ya está.
Hola, los días 12, 13 y 14 de diciembre tenemos unas jornadas sobre el papel del perito valorador que vamos a emitir por videoconferencia, ¿vale? Son muy interesantes. Hay jornadas, por ejemplo, va a venir un abogado a explicar cómo se perita una herencia, un testamento. Va a venir un técnico especialista en peritaje de siniestros. Es decir, está muy relacionado con todo esto que estamos viendo, ¿vale? Y os invito a todos a que nos mandéis un correo y os mandamos el enlace para seguir la videoconferencia, ¿vale? Son 12, 13 y 14. El título de la jornada es El papel del perito valorador en siniestros, herencias, testamentos, todo lo que dijo César ayer del papel del surveyor es lo que vamos a tocar. Es muy interesante y hay mucha salida profesional en ese sentido, como técnico independiente. Entonces yo os invito a que os veáis las jornadas.
Yo creo que Manuel, a través de que nos escuches por la noticia, a la hora de invitaros particularmente a vosotros cuando llegue.
Sí, avisaremos también por las listas de correos si estáis suscritos en el blog y bueno, pues o bien a ellos o bien a nosotros nos enviáis un mail y ya
Por lo menos que venga.
os damos acceso a...
Oye, cállate.
Sobre todo veo muchas caras jóvenes igual insisto en que es un camino de autoempleo muy importante. En España no hay cultura de elaboración de informes periciales como Dios manda. Si me permitís la expresión, es decir, el técnico... Eso. Insisto en el tema y os invito a que participéis porque es un campo fantástico. El ser capaz de elaborar un informe, de asignar un valor y defenderlo en un juicio son capacidades laborales que no están desarrolladas como deberían.
Que el informe tenga un trabajo cartográfico de
experiencia
de haber estado en un juzgado ante un juez que no tiene ni idea de lo que es un plano de pronto, es un trabajo de estos que es un poco la filosofía del trabajo fin de marcha que estamos haciendo, un trabajo que encima tiene una cartografía detalladísima. Yo puedo decir que los informes con conocimientos que hay se ganan por cabo. Si estáis con temas de juicios, que para eso, y bueno, de juicio, de lo que hay informes que sean de responsabilidad. Entonces, con la carga de cartografía que da el informe, ya te digo, de inglés,
Os invito a que os apuntéis. Son gratuitas, son online y van a ser muy divertidas. El papel del perito valorador en herencias, testamentos, siniestros. Sí, yo lo mandará Manuel por los blogs. 12, 13 y 14 de diciembre. Si queréis venir a Orihuela a vernos.
If you want to come to Orihuela, inheritance. So the role of surveyors in inheritance litigation and others. For instance, a professional, a job that people is not aware of is the common agricultural policy. In the next 5 years in Spain, a lot of money is going to come to Spain, and for that, these subsidies are linked to the territory. So you handle cartography, you have the necessary training. And an important part of the pack are the horse. For instance, in the wine sector, every year there are 47 million euros for subsidies to companies. And you have to know how to ask for it and how to handle it. And this is generating a lot of value. This is another profession. You have to handle lots of information. Somebody said that everybody should be somewhere. And he told me, you are very powerful because you have the power to locate the things, to know where they are. Then you could be the masters of the world. Well, once the marketing has been completed, then let's close this. Besides what is
concreto, ya para cerrar, que me queda abierto con el internet.
And just to open, because just to close, because I was left unfinished. Here we have the alphanumeric table, and here you have the uses, which are the crops. There is another table which can be downloaded at that time that makes the description of those codes. And then to this cadastral reference, we have to add the sub-parcel. So then you have the cadastral reference with the sub-parcel added, then we'll link, and then we have the crop maps of the whole municipal territory, its distribution, and so on. So we are doing agricultural statistics for many years through estimation, and according to what we say to others, if we can have an updated then we know really what we have, but the effect of the property, the sub-parcel, on real basis. In Murcia, many people is asking which is the irrigation surface, and the data that you find have not much to do with the reality. So then, if you want any other entry, and if not, we can finish with this. I would just like to add that now we have a coffee break. So I think taking the code is a good idea, and we can just have a nice break now.